I am so excited that Kiriah Kache is joining me today to talk a little bit about her process, dig into her catalog, and just get to know her as an author. If you don't know Kiriah Kache, she is a passionate indie author whose work will make you feel deeply for the characters she creates. Her catalog includes tender reflections of grief and longing, second chances, and steamy encounters. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I would just love to start with getting a little information about what first sparked your love for storytelling.
Well, since a child, I've always loved reading. I've always loved writing. I used to write poetry back when I was a child. Growing up, I always loved poetry and loved reading. And so when I was little, I said, "Well, I could do this. I could write a book." And so just always loving reading and always loving writing. So I was like, well, I want to be an author one day. And I
Mhm.
have I have Facebook statuses from when I was like in junior high, high school that says I want to write a book. And here we are, all these years later, and I
Yeah,
have several.
right, more than one. So you definitely achieved that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. What sort of books were you drawn to when you were younger and that inspired you to say, like, I want to do something similar too?
Um, the first book that I can remember reading like as a child, Junie B. Jones.
Hmm.
But as I got older, Ashley Antoinette. My mom
Hmm.
introduced me to the Cartel series. Um, yeah, I read Ashley, um, Eric Jerome Dickey,
Hmm.
Zane,
Hmm.
all of the greats as
Yes.
far as. So I just really any author that I could get my hands on. I just love reading, getting lost into a story.
Hmm. And were you more drawn to romance and like stories that have like love stories in them, or were you reading a little bit of everything?
Mostly romance.
Mhm.
Some any fiction. I didn't read any like Harry Potter or anything.
Mhm.
Just like romance, fiction, a little excuse me, a little thriller back in the day,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
no like fantasy or anything that's Harry Potter related. So
Gotcha. Yeah. If you think about like who had like the biggest impact on you and like the type of storyteller you are now, who do you think that would be based on what you read previously or are inspired by now?
hmm, excuse me, that's a good question. I would say no particular person.
Hmm.
I guess just taking inspiration from day to day life and the artist as a whole, like no particular person.
Hmm.
Just like I said, day to day life and just authors that I read as a whole, like taking inspiration maybe from what I've read in the past. No one in particular that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Gotcha. Okay. Do your personal experiences shape the types of stories that you spend time crafting and wanting to create?
Absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
How does that shape the types of stories that you want to tell?
Personal experiences of things that I may see day to day or hear or something that I might see on online threads, TikTok, like, oh, that'll be something a good story idea,
Hmm.
um, or something that I've experienced before that
Hmm.
I might put like a twist on it. So if someone in my real life may read it, they're like, did that happen to you for real? So I might take, like I said, my own personal experience and twist it, or just someone that I might know and just twist it because things happen every day that can be a book. So
Yes, definitely. Definitely. If you just look around a little bit, yes.
Observe, go to a coffee shop and
Mhm.
just look. Any little thing can, for me personally, any little thing can just spark an idea. I can be watching TV and something can happen and it can just spark an idea or a scene. Like if I'm actually writing a book, and I get stumped or something, I go
Mm.
watch TV or go sit outside or whatever, and I can be watching a certain scene in a book or I mean in a movie or a TV show, and I'm like, ooh, that'll be a good scene or something to have happen in my book, and I just put my own twist on it.
Mhm. Is there anything that you recall that you feel comfortable sharing that inspired either like a scene or an aspect of one of your stories?
Yes, um, my book "Accidentally Yours" is a Christmas. My last book I released last year.
Mhm.
Um, it's about my female main character Kimmy. Her family is on her by finding a man, and so I took inspiration from what is that book called? I mean, what's that movie called? Is it the scene where she what they said, F the family. I left the family in my house and the family what's it,
Yes.
soul food. Is it soul
Soul
food?
food, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
soul food. Okay. Um I it's a part, I didn't take that part, I don't think. But it's a scene in that movie that I took and made my own and put
Mm,
it in
mhm.
that in Accidentally Yours.
Okay, I'll have to add that to my list so I can see if I can pinpoint what this which scene it
Yes.
was that you put your own little twist on.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned um, always being a reader and then also being inspired to want to write your own stories from very young. Can you talk to me a little bit about how did like that desire turn into actually publishing? Like what did that pathway look like for you?
I knew, like I said, I always knew I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know where to start.
Mm.
And I didn't know when I released my first book back in 2024. I'm finna come up on my 3 year mark in just what's
Yeah.
the fourth in 10 days. In
Oh wow.
10 days, it'll be three
Congratulations.
years.
Yeah.
So when I released, I didn't know it was gonna be then. My real good friends, pen sister and real life sister Zero Nay, um she released her first book all in December of 2023. And she was
Okay.
like, I did it, you can do it. I was like, I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So she showed me how she did it. And so I I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And so I had been working on Still for a moment, but I come to it, stop, come to it, stop.
Mhm.
But then
Mhm.
she was like, "Do it, just start it, just continue and work on it." And so I think I wrote Still from January up until I released it in April. And then she was like, "I went to Amazon, I did it independently. You can do it." And so I set a release date. I released it April 14th, which is my brother's birthday. And I just did. I released it through Amazon. So it really was the push from Z that really got me to do it. And so
Mhm.
I did it. And here I am later, nine books.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, it's always helpful to have someone supportive in your
Mhm.
corner, especially if they've done the thing you want to do
Yes.
before, because then they can give you
Pointers.
insight and
Yes.
also like the needed push of like, go ahead, like you want to do this now, go ahead and do it. So I
Yes.
love that. Let's talk about Still since you brought that one up. I really enjoyed how you explored like the concept of like the one that got away
Yes.
in that story. What sparked your idea for Layla and Andre's story?
For the one who got away, I had an ex in high school. I feel like I was the one who got away.
Okay, yeah,
I feel like
gotcha.
I was the one who got away. And so
Mhm,
that sparked that part of it. Neither one of us was sick or anything.
mhm,
But where that came from, I don't know where that part came from.
mhm,
But I wanted my first book to be something that stuck with people.
mm,
Um and so I love a good second chance romance, whether that's second chance at love or second chance you didn't get right the first time.
mhm,
Whatever part it is, that second chance, I'm all for it. As someone who reads too. Um, so as the one who got away in real life, and I wanted that to evoke through the book. Um, so and then Layla, all of my characters, all of my female characters, and some male too, but really all of my female characters are a part of me in some way. They
mhm,
have some characteristic of me personally in some way. So I really wanted that to be transpired through the book.
mhm. What element of you is woven into Layla?
She's caring. She's willing to put herself first. I mean, put others first before someone else. And she didn't tell that man she loved him when she knew she did. That's something that I would do.
Gotcha.
That's something that I would
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
Yes, love me some,
Gotcha.
love me some Layla.
Yes. Yeah. I really saw like her caring nature and like really wanting to be there for Andre, even though it was a very challenging
Yes.
situation to be in. Especially if like you've loved this person forever, you didn't tell them, you have an opportunity to be back in their space, and then they're ill in the manner that he was. So I definitely appreciated you shining a light on that story, and like it sometimes things don't work out the way that you think they are, but that
Yes.
doesn't mean you shouldn't still put yourself out there and still say what you feel, just based on Layla's story.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you want that to be the first book that you published? Was that just the idea that you wanted to spend the more time with and then eventually publish it, or what was the decision in making that one your first book?
I honestly, somebody else asked me that, and I was like, I don't know. But when I first started writing, still, I didn't know that I was going to make Andre sick.
Mm, mhm,
Um, I thought it was just gonna be the one that got away. They went their separate ways after high school. But the more I wrote, I was like, what could I do to make the story unique and not your typical um love story or second
mhm.
chance in love. And so I was like, okay, I can make him sick. And I didn't at first I wasn't gonna kill him. And sometimes I still be like, why did I do that?
You sent
Um
him off.
why did I do that? I was talking to Z the other day and I was like, sometimes I regret killing off Andre. But I was like, then again, no, I don't, because if I didn't do it, it would just be a typical story, you know. And I feel like it was needed to kill him off because Layla wouldn't have been as strong and as strength as she was if I didn't. We wouldn't have been able to see her strength after she found the letter,
Mm,
the funeral, and seeing her live after the fact. So
mhm, mhm.
there's that.
Yes, yeah, definitely. What was your approach in creating Andre as a character? Because I know you talked about Layla and having like pieces of yourself in her
Yeah.
as far as being like very caring. What did you want to showcase in creating Andre?
Oh, Andre, he is a bit of a complex character because when I was writing this character, I was in a relationship with this guy, and I hated. I didn't say I hated. We were in a hate love situation, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make this character about you, and I'm gonna kill him. But I was, but I wasn't. I told him I was gonna kill him, but in my mind I was like, I'm not gonna kill him. I'm just gonna tell him I'm gonna kill him because I
Mm-hmm.
really did not want to kill him, but I wanted Andre to be a character that that readers could that the readers could feel because most male characters that you read in a story are hard. Maybe it's a
Mm-hmm.
tough guy, but
Mm-hmm.
Andre was able to um, have his walls down and express his feelings, even though he was sick. Even though he was mad at first when when she told him that I lied to you all those years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was soft. And so it was important for me to showcase that men are human too. They have these feelings, and it's okay for men to showcase these feelings because usually it's the other way around. Usually men lie about their feelings and not women. So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that that was highlighted.
Yeah, it definitely came through in his story. And I did also appreciate that there was sickle cell representation with him and like talking a little bit about that. What inspired that to be the cause of like his illness?
Um, at the time of me writing that, one of my classmates had just passed away from sickle cell,
Mhm.
and so I wanted to. I didn't at the time. I didn't know too much about it,
Mhm.
um, and so I wanted to research about it to see because she was healthy. She well aside from that, she was
Yeah.
healthy. And so she went she went to the doctor, and then she didn't come back out. So I'm like,
Mm.
so I wanted to research it, and I was like, and so, like I said, I was writing the story, and I didn't know what I was going to. The sickle cell wasn't going to be a part of it. I didn't know what I was going to do. So after she died, I was like, well, maybe I could make Andre have sickle cell, um, and so I could research it and learn more about it. And so that's how that came into the picture. I
Yeah,
wanted to learn more about it.
I think that that definitely helps because that's definitely an illness that not a lot of folks are aware of unless they're
Mhm.
like personally impacted. So I think being able to have Andre show like what he was battling was really helpful just as for general awareness
Yes,
for folks of like, oh, wait, let me learn a little bit more about this, especially since it does impact Black people more than any other
Abs-
group as well.
absolutely.
So I think I definitely appreciated that inclusion as opposed to being something like there could have been a variety of
Yeah.
reasons he was sick, but I appreciated that that was included. Yeah, there's also in the midst of like this second chance or being able to like reconnect with the person you let get away or the person you ran away from. if we're talking about if we're talking about Layla, but
Yes.
also like loving in the midst of grief as
Yes.
well. Why do you think that was important to weave into their story? Because, like you said, at first you didn't know if he was just going to be ill and maybe recover
Hmm.
or what was going to happen on Andre's side. Why did you want to showcase that love in the midst of grief as well?
I think that it's important because grief is sneaky. It can show up in anything. And most people, some people, I can say most people, some people shut out the world during their grief, and which is valid. But I
Mhm.
think that it's so important to um, have someone that's there for you, you know, whether that's platonic or like platonic or not platonic. And so I think that during for Layla, it was important for them. It was important to have someone to be there for you, so that as you're not suffering through it alone.
Mhm.
Um, because grief is hard. If
Mhm.
you even if you do have someone in your corner beside you, it's going to be a hard journey to go through alone,
Mhm.
regardless. So I think that that was something that was needed. So I personally wanted to showcase that because when I went through grief, I needed it was good for me to have someone there for me.
Mhm.
So I wanted
Mhm.
to showcase that through the book.
Yeah, definitely. What did you want readers to feel or think after finishing Still and Layla's story?
I want them to feel not sad, but excuse me. I want them to feel that even though you lost the love, doesn't mean that your story is over. Your love
Mhm.
story is over. There's
Mhm.
love on the other side of pain.
Mhm. Yeah,
There's love on the other
definitely.
side of pain.
Any thoughts on revisiting Layla? I won't say any spoilers, but just the way
Well,
that she was left at the end, you'll have to read it for you to know. Uh, but any thoughts on revisiting her or her story?
I did put a nugget. What book was that? I put a nugget of Layla in For However Long. One of my
Okay.
books. Yeah, you get an insight of her and her story in For However Long. But I have been thinking about doing like a not a full book because I don't think she has that much to say. But you never know. You never know.
Mhm.
These characters have a mind of their own.
Mhm.
But I did do like I said, I did do like a small update of Layla in my second book, which is For However Long. I
Mhm.
did a small update on her in For However Long. But I might do like a small, like little update, maybe like 500 words, and post it either on my website or my Patreon or my
Mhm.
newsletter. I've been thinking about that because somebody I did another interview and someone asked me that, so I've been thinking about it. So
Gotcha.
I may.
Okay. Well,
You
I'll
never
have to look
know.
out for that. Yes.
Yes, I
And
probably posted
see.
either Threads or Instagram.
Got you. Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about chemistry,
Okay.
which was part of the Sweetest Lesson series with the
Yes.
collaboration with a lot of other Black romance authors. Can you tell me a little bit how that collaboration
Yes.
came to be, and like how did that happen?
Okay, so it first started out with A Blossom, Brianna Michelle, and Z Renee. It was them three originally, and then anytime Z was like, "Well, can I add my sisters?" Which is me and Erica Denise.
Hmm.
So there was five, and then I think originally Brianna Michelle had asked Jay Valencia, and she came along, so it was six. So it's
Hmm.
me, Brianna Michelle, Z Renee, A Blossom, Erica Denise, and I'm missing somebody. So it's six of us total.
Yes.
But yes, yes. And so we came together. We wanted to do a school. We didn't have any restriction as far as tropes, but it had to be in the school setting.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's basically it. We had free reign of what we wanted to write. Um, yeah, that's basically it.
Hmm.
We came up with our own title. The only thing, yeah, and we picked what spot, like which what number in the series wanted to be based
Mhm.
on what release date we wanted. So that's
Gotcha.
how it went.
Okay. How was the process of creating Desiree and Nicholas's story different than Layla and Andre's? Like, if you still had like freedom to like make their story however you
Mhm.
wanted, just having that school as the backdrop, how was that process different than Layla and Andre's?
It was very different because still was my first book, and at the time, I knew about tropes as a reader, but as a writer, it wasn't really clicking at the time because I'm like, well, what are tropes?
Mhm,
I mean, it's the same thing, but I wasn't thinking as a writer.
mhm,
So with Desiree and Nick, I knew I wanted it to be um a one night stand. I knew I wanted it to be strangers to lovers. And so I knew that. And so when I write, I don't use an outline or anything.
mhm,
I just know what trope I want it to be and go from there.
mhm,
So I knew I wanted them to meet at a bar. I knew what I wanted Desiree backstory to be. Um, and as far as Nicholas, I'm not sure if I knew what I wanted his to be at the time before I started writing,
mhm,
but I knew what I wanted Desiree's to be, and I knew I wanted them to meet at the bar and the tropes. And
mhm,
from there, what I typically do is before I start any story, I go into my notes app on my phone. I title it the if I know the title of the story just yet, because sometimes the title don't come until I'm halfway done with the book, or
mhm,
sometimes I know it before I'm starting it. So if I know the title, I title it. If I don't know it, I go ahead and title it the character's name because I almost always know the character's name before I start writing. I
okay.
title it the character's names and then do like tropes or the plot, something where I can go back in as I start writing and fill out information as I start writing. So that's what I did, and I just started writing. So it was very much easier for book number. I think chemistry is book number 6. I
Mhm,
think um, versus book number 1.
mhm.
Book number 1, I was flying blind. By chemistry, I'm a pro at this, so
Yes, yeah.
it was a whole different ball game. And it was much more. I had a time writing chemistry. I had fun.
I can tell because Desiree and Nick. Now, I'll say this: I used to be a teacher and worked in schools, and the
Me too.
activities they were doing, I was like, "Ha! Hold on, you'll have to read chemistry to know what I'm talking about." But
Oh yes.
I was like, "Wait, what are we doing?" But no, I could tell it's definitely a much more lighthearted read than Still. If someone read Still, it's definitely much more
Oh yes.
lighthearted. But
Oh yeah.
but you still
Much more. Yeah. Still
yeah,
is
but you
my
still get
heaviest
like
book.
the background is still really good and like digging into like why they were interested
Hmm.
one night stand, like why, them as characters and like how that shifts and change. So there's still transformation with them, which is still really good, even still being lighthearted and fun
Yes.
um, at the same time. But yeah, but I thought it was very hilarious that they thought they thought, okay, it's just gonna be one and done, and then they run directly into each
To
other.
each other. Yeah. Yeah.
How did the editing process go? Because I know there's characters in their book that are in other books. So
Yes.
how did that process work to make sure the right folks were doing the right things to make sense for the books that were to follow in the series?
We had a now excuse me, A Blossom is signed to a publisher, something. She signed, so she had her own editor. but the rest of us are completely indie. She's indie too, but she has a publishing. So what we did was we had a big Google Doc, a note, something. We had something where we all collabed on,
Mhm.
um, and so we had each character's name and what they were like. Chemistry. I mean, Desiree and Nick was chemistry teachers, and then I think in Brenda Michelle book, her character was a art teacher, and
Mhm.
so that's what we went into the note to see. Okay, this teacher's an art teacher. Let me make sure I refer to anything she does as an art teacher, or
Mhm.
this teacher is a library is a librarian and stuff like that. So we had a big
Mhm.
a note drive to make sure that we weren't getting the characters mixed up. Um, if anything in the city, the town, we had like a restaurant. We had a bar called Chases, I believe.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
we had that in the note drive. Had a wing spot. We had anything, anything that was in the city or the school. We had that all in the note drive.
Mhm. That's good. Yeah, because you can't call one thing in one book something
Yeah,
and then something else in another book,
no, yeah,
especially
because the reader's gonna catch it.
right.
The reader's gonna catch it.
And especially since the way the rollout was, I thought was such a cool idea because it came out around back to school time last
Yes,
year.
we
So of
we
course,
planned
like
it like that.
teachers
Yeah.
and education's on the brain already. And
Yes.
then if you want to hop from the first book and go in order, you definitely want to feel like, someone else telling the story, but the setting feels familiar since it's all
Yes.
with that Sweet Pea Academy. So but yeah, the process that you all did definitely worked as far as like making sure the names are correct, like what they're
Yes.
doing makes sense for the characters. So definitely sounds like that was a fun collaboration.
It
Um,
was. It
yeah.
was.
As far as like the story is concerned, I really enjoyed how Desiree and Nick both have to like address their like past behavior
Hmm.
and their past relationships in order to see like if they can give their relationship a chance. Why was that important for you to include, and why was that the angle you wanted to take with them in their story?
Because in most relationships, you don't talk about your past relationships when you get into a new relationship. So you have Desiree who X did what he did,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Nick who grew up the way he did with his mom and dad. They
Mm-hmm.
both have these issues, and so I feel like it was important for them to address that and talk about that, so that it doesn't become an issue later on if they did decide, to tackle the relationship with each other. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important because nowadays we just boy meets girl, girl meets boy. They get together and they don't discuss the past, and then a year from now they're having these issues and don't understand why, because you didn't talk about what happened in your past relationships and now it's triggering you. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. What did you want readers to feel after finishing their story?
happy and excited. I fun, smiling. I had fun
Mm-hmm.
writing chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Um I wanted them, after you finish reading chemistry, I want you to be like, "Oh, this was a good book. Let me go
Mm-hmm.
read her next book, or let me go read the next book in the series to see
Mm-hmm.
what else going on in Sweet Pea."
Right, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with everybody
Yes.
at the school. So definitely get that feeling with that. Yeah, I like I mentioned, it's definitely a very fun read. It's definitely lighthearted, but still touches on like actually like, okay, this was fun and all, but what would we actually have to do in order to
Yes.
be in a relationship, and that was touched on, and I really enjoyed that. I am interested in knowing, is there like a common theme, even though you're tackling different characters and different stories and different
Mhm.
backgrounds? Is there a common theme that is like always going to be in a Kiriah Kache book, as far as like the way the characters are developed or the feelings you want to leave with readers?
Um, all of my well, yeah, typically all of my stories want to end in a happily ever after. Typically, um, yeah, typically, and I just want all of my stories to be that feel good, um, type of vibe, that you anytime you want like a pick me up or to get you out of a slump, you can pick
Hmm.
up a Kira Cache book. I don't think I have a theme across all of my books. Now I might have a walking trope across all of my books, which I'm trying to branch out because
Hmm.
at least four out of nine of my books are something to lovers, friends to lovers, strangers to lovers. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
branch out, but I don't think I have like a walking theme of my books that I can think of, but anytime you read a book by me, I just want readers to know that you're gonna leave feeling, oh, this was good. I feel good. I feel happy knowing that the characters got a happily ever after, or that the characters didn't have to struggle. Um, that they got what they deserve. They're happy.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Are there certain, are you going to be primarily like a romance author? Any interest in dabbling in any other genres or
Um,
subgenres?
yes, I'm currently now, and it's dragging me by my throat. I'm
Oh, no.
currently working in a good way. It's
Okay.
just it's something new, and like anything new comes with uncomfortability.
Hmm.
I'm currently working on an urban romance,
Okay.
uh, that I'm going to try to have out at Black Romance Book Fest. Um, yes, it's called In Too Deep. It's a
Mm-hmm.
second chance romance. And if I get through it, it's gonna be the first and last one.
Oh, no. Not first and
But
last.
I'm having fun. But I think my lane is romance, contemporary romance.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I wanted to branch out, and my pen sisters Z and Erica, um, they betted me to see if I could do it, and I'm like 8 chapters in,
Okay.
so I'm too far in to trash it. So I'm
You're
like
doing it. You're doing
yeah, I'm
it.
6,000 words in.
Hmm.
So if I'm going to keep going, so I'm having fun with it. But it's dragging me because it's something new and it's uncomfortable. But I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna have it by Black Romance. So I said
Okay.
by Chocolate City Lit Fest, but that's in like 3 days. So
Well, I'm sending you all of the positive writing
thank
vibes,
you,
the inspiration,
thank you.
the speedy typing, whatever you need, so that
Thank you.
way
I need
you
it. I
can
need
have
it.
it finished. Hmm.
All seriousness, I probably will have it at Black Romance. I have to because I got like 4 pre-orders for it. But in all seriousness, majority of my books will be romance, contemporary, with a little poetry. 'Cause I do have a poetry book out, and I plan to release more. So
Okay. Yeah, and I know you do have your poetry collection, and it is National Poetry Month is in April. Um, can you talk a little bit about unspoken words and what your
yeah,
thought process is in creating that collection?
Yes, my poetry book is called Unspoken Words, a collection of things unsaid. I have been writing some of the poems for over a span of, I would say, one of the poems in there are probably over 5 years old.
Hmm.
Um, some within 2, 3 years. Some I wrote last year when I released it. Anytime I'm feeling inspired, I just start writing. I don't really have like a thought process. Some of them probably don't rhyme. They free write.
Hmm.
I just started writing. I just love words. Period.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I just write, and then I didn't even title most of them until I finished the poems, and then I
Hmm.
was like, "What would be a good title for this?" And I wrote it. Some of them are love poems. Some of them are life poems, just about life in general. And yeah, it's only about I think 70, maybe might be less pages than that. I don't know, but it's a very thin book. But yeah, it's about things that you are feeling, things that you might want to say, but you don't say out loud.
Hmm.
That's why I said things unsaid. So,
Hmm.
yep.
What's the process like when you're in a poetry inspired mood compared to when you're creating novellas or novels?
Oh, when it's very different. When I'm in a writing novella mode, I'm on my computer, locked in. Whereas poetry, I can write it on my phone. I I created all my poems on my phone. I
Mm.
have a notes folder. That's what it's called. Notes folder titled poems.
Mhm.
And if I'm feeling inspired, I just go in and start, just start typing. And then whenever I do go to write on my computer for a book or whatever, I'll just transfer them over to my dabble for poetry.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And does it just depend on like what you're more inspired by at the moment, which you decide to create?
Yes, it does, but 9 times out of 10, I'm mainly writing for a big book poetry. I have to um if my mind is like over crowded, or I need to just get something out, or from overwhelm or something like that, that's
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
I will write poetry or write any poems or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Um, but for the most part, writing these books, trying to get these words out.
Yeah, and you said you typically don't outline. It's just like you have like a general idea of the
Hmm.
things you want to include, and then you just write from
Just right.
there.
Yes.
Mhm.
I said I wanted to try outline this year, but I haven't. And I think the reason why is because I've started writing in too deep last year, but I had to put it on pause because of other projects. So I think when I start writing a new project, I might try outlining. But as of
Mm.
now, I just free write. I just free write, and
Yeah.
that's what has been working best so far. But
Mhm.
I'm always open to try something new.
Yeah. And if it's working, I'm sure it's enough of a challenge to sit down to write. So
Yeah,
you don't need to, you don't need to, if it's working the
it
way that you're
definitely can
doing,
be
then don't need to add any other
for
complications.
for sure.
Yeah. As you're thinking about like the writing process, and like you said, you're writing into deep now, what does that look like for you? Do you have like dedicated times that you're writing, or you just like when something inspires you, that's when you like sit down to like put words down?
A little bit of both. Through the week, because I work from home. So I work from 6 to 2:30. So I typically, when I get off, I like decompress for like 30 minutes to an hour, and
Mhm.
so at about 3:30, that's when I typically like to get my computer out and do anything that I have on my to do list. And then about 4, that's when I start writing, and I write for about like an hour or so. Then
Mhm.
whatever, cook dinner, whatever, whatever, and then I start back about 8, 7 ish, 8 ish, write for an hour, then go to bed because I like to get my sleep. Then
Yes.
then I do that through the week. The same thing through the week, Monday through Thursday. Then on Friday, I will write sometimes if I don't have anything to do. But Saturday and Sundays, I typically write all day. Maybe depends
Mhm.
on if I don't have anything to do. Um, but I try to write when I can. I like to do writing sprints. I use this app called Dabble, and I can do like writing sprints for like 45 minutes, and I can
Mhm.
crank out some words if I'm on the writing sprint. Like I can crank out 1,000 words. So
Mhm.
it just really depends. Or if sometimes if I'm working, I've had this happen. If I'm working and I get a burst of inspiration, I close that laptop down for however long it takes, and
Mhm.
I get to writing, and I go back to working.
Mhm.
So it just depends. Sometimes I get inspiration like if I'm riding down the road, with my parents, and I pull my phone out. Oh, now I write it in my notes app, and then when I get
Mhm.
back home, I transfer it to my documents. So
Gotcha.
inspiration can come from anywhere. So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's why I love the notes app. I have 1,000,001 notes in my notes app because inspiration can come from anywhere at any second. So
Mhm. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And you don't want to lose a thought because by the time you get back to your computer,
it's
it's
gone.
gone.
It's
So yes, I
gone.
understand from that capacity of like,
Oh my
let
god,
me
it's
write a little
gone.
something down so I can figure out what I was thinking of. So
Yes,
that makes
yes,
sense.
yes,
How do
yes.
you know when a story is finished? Like at least like from the first draft to like actually finished and ready to publish.
Oh, it can be hard because sometimes I would say, okay, this is finished, but then the characters be like, nope, wait, there's more. So I feel like the story is finished when I feel like there's nothing left to be said. Like
Mm,
if you have the introduction, we have the problem's been solved, whatever, whatever.
mhm,
If nothing else is left to be said, then the story is finished. Um, and sometimes um, the characters can keep talking, and it can make for a longer story. And sometimes I let the characters keep talking, and then I cut out the extra fluff. Because
mhm,
sometimes I write a lot of fluff. I'm like, okay, that's not needed. Let me delete that. And then the extra that I wrote helps because once I cut
mhm,
that extra fluff out, the story is now complete.
mhm,
So it's just for me, it's all about writing until the characters stop talking, and B until when I feel like the story is complete. And for me, that is when there's nothing left to be said. Everything is complete from how I want the story to be told.
mhm.
Now I have had instances where after the book is complete, it's published, the readers have read it, the reviews coming in. I was like, dang, I wish I would have added that to it, but it's done now.
Right.
So, but for the most part,
Yes.
I be satisfied with everything that I have put out because I have read it so many times before it even gets
Mhm.
on Kindle and Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And you mentioned before being like a lifelong reader and just enjoying stories. Has your relationship with reading for pleasure changed at all since you're also writing? as far as like balancing time or the types of books you're drawn to if you do get an opportunity to read as well?
I don't get to read like physically like
Mm.
as much as I used to. I used to
Hmm.
could knock a physical book down. I used to could knock an ebook like my Kindle Unlimited. I used to could knock them down real fast. So
Hmm.
now for the most part, I'm only listening to books because I work from home, and
Right, right.
so that's how I consume most of my books is on Audible, Libby, Hoopla, whatever. It takes me about 4 or 5 days to finish the ebook. I mean, I used to finish them in 2 days
Hmm.
because I'm only reading them at night before I go to bed. So
Hmm.
it has changed a little bit. I still do get to get some reading done because I listen to them on audio books. But for the most part, if it's on Audible, I'm gonna listen to it.
Gotcha.
Uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to listen to it because I'm still a reader girly at heart. I,
Hmm.
I love to read, and so that's not gonna change.
Yeah, definitely. If you're thinking about yourself as an author and you overheard a reader raving about your work, like they loved it, what 3 words would you want to hear?
Ooh, mm, ooh, mm, different.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, what 3 words I would like to hear if I was hearing this from another, if I was hearing this from a reader?
Like you
Okay.
just overheard them and they were like, you have to read Kiriah Kache. I love her work. Like,
Okay.
what
Okay.
3 words
Uh,
would you want them to be saying based on what you put
okay.
into it?
Different. Okay. She's different. Um. Mm, phenomenal. I screwed that word up. That word up. And and a banger.
Okay, yes. So we have different, phenomenal, and a banger. Gotcha.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Yep.
great. And then where do you think a reader should start? If they're new to your work, where do you think they should start?
Well, if they like strangers to lovers, they can start at either Love Unscripted, For However Long, Love Unscripted, For However Long, Accidentally Yours, or Chemistry, because
Hmm.
all of them are strangers to lovers.
Hmm.
If they like friends to lovers, they can start at Steel. If they like um, poetry, they can start at Unspoken Words. And
Hmm.
they like women's fiction type of vibe. They can start at The Last Promise. I think
Hmm.
that's all my books. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
they can start there, or they
Um,
can start at
yeah,
anywhere. Honestly, all of them are good. if
gotcha.
I do say
Okay.
so myself.
Which book in your catalog do you think doesn't get enough love and it should, if someone wants to start there?
Ooh, I would say Love Unscripted or The Last Promise. But The Last Promise, it's a holiday short, but I think it can be read anytime.
Hmm.
But Love Unscripted, that one don't get enough love, and I think it's pretty good. That's
Gotcha.
my um only full length book. My other ones are novellas or a novelette.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
As you're thinking about future projects, are there any tropes that you haven't written yet that you would love to explore and like add into a future work?
Um, Yes, well, I kind of wrote it, but it was for PNP. It was it was a real second chance. Cause still is a second chance at love. Well, it's a second chance together. But
Hmm.
I wrote it for PNP, but not everybody got it. But In Too Deep is a second chance. They was together, and broke up, now they back together. So second chance for sure. I also want to do um an arranged marriage.
Okay.
I want to do an arranged marriage, and yeah, and I think that's the only one I can come up with right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I want to do an
Yeah.
arranged marriage. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I want to do it.
We definitely enjoy an arranged marriage,
I know
but
the
you
girls love
also
an arranged
mentioned
marriage.
you only want to do one urban romance, and I feel like that kind of maybe that has to come to In Too Deep. I don't know. I feel like
But
that flows kind of
I
into it
know,
a little bit, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna have to. But I say that, but writing it's a whole different universe. Like
Mhm.
I can write these things. It's just getting out of my comfort zone. I
Gotcha.
just have
Yeah.
to get out of my comfort zone, and so yeah. I also want to write a kind of the girls eat this up. I don't know I don't know what trope specifically. I want
Mhm.
what is it? Male MMF, two males and a
Oh,
female,
like a
whatever
wide
that's called.
choose or
Yeah, watch you. Yeah,
polyamorous? Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Right.
that.
Yeah. Mhm.
I wanna write one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, because the girls eat that up, and I'm the girls. I I eat it up too.
Same. Yes. So looking forward to that. I
Yeah.
know we're in the midst of event season, and you were
Yes.
just at Plots and Pours, I
Yes.
believe, and then prepping for other events. Where can readers find you during this season?
I am booked and busy for the next 3 4 months. I will be
Wow.
at yes. I'm tired already, but it's gonna be worth it. I will be at Chocolate
Yes.
City Lit Fest this month, in Washington. Then I'll be at Black Romance in May
Hmm.
in Atlanta. Then I'll be back in Houston in June for a Lit World. And then got a little break until November. I'll be at Bookmark Her in Birmingham, I think, in Alabama.
Okay.
So that is where I will be at this year.
Yeah. How are preparations going for the events? And trying to
It's
balance that with also writing as well. I'm assuming at the
it's
same
it's
time.
it's a lot. I just placed my order for my books for Chocolate City on what's today? Friday? No, today's Saturday. I just placed the order Wednesday
Hmm.
for Chocolate City, and then it's been a lot. And I'm a sponsor for Black Romance. I placed
Oh,
my order. Thank
congratulations.
you. I placed my order for them yesterday, and whew, it's been a lot. But I'm just grateful for all
Hmm.
the opportunities and getting myself and my name out there for new readers and all the things. So
Hmm.
it's been a lot. I've been a little overwhelmed, but I made it through PNP, and each event gets bigger because we expecting 800 for Chocolate City, and I don't even want to think about Black Romance.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be
It's
great.
gonna be good.
It's gonna be
Yes.
great. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Plots and Pours was a great time. It was a great
Hmm.
time. So I'm ready for all the others. Be
Good.
great.
Okay. Well, I'll see you at Black Romance Book Fest. Well, we'll
Yay!
hopefully, because with all the folks, sometimes trying to find one
This
specific
is
person is
this is
a little
true.
complicated.
Like a needle in a haystack.
Right, exactly. And hopefully you have an opportunity to sell out at all your events.
Thank you. Thank you. I need
So that way the
that.
time and effort is definitely more than worth it. But yeah, so what can readers look forward to next from you? I know you're working on In Too Deep, and hopefully
Yes.
that'll be a May release.
Yes.
Anything else that you're working on or we should be on the lookout for in the meantime?
Um, I am working on Into Deep, and then I'm also working on another book. I wrote it on Wattpad. I also started on Wattpad, writing on
Mhm.
Wattpad as well, and I wrote this on Wattpad, and I'm going through re-editing it, and so that's gonna come out. Don't know when, maybe um June. No, that's too close to Black Romance. Maybe July
Okay.
or August. Um, so it was called Life as I Knew It on Wattpad, but I'm probably gonna change the title.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so those are my two works in progress. Don't have anything else lined up because last year I released 5 books. This
Yeah.
year
Very busy.
I said that was crazy of me. This year I said I was releasing 4, and
Mhm.
we already in quarter 2, and I haven't released none. So we're doing good.
Yeah.
We're doing
You're
good. I
pacing
haven't released.
yourself. That's good.
So yeah. So those are my two works in progress. Maybe a Christmas release. I know that's years away from December, but maybe a Christmas release. I mean, not Christmas. I did Christmas last year. Thanksgiving, maybe a
Mhm.
Thanksgiving release. But yeah, um, In Too Deep, and then Life as I Knew It with a maybe a title change or what you can expect from me this year.
Okay. And how can we support you as
Just,
readers?
just liking, reviewing, leaving reviews, reading,
Yes.
reading. That's the top thing. And also um buying direct from me. Right now my website is closed. Where everything shows sold out because I'm not gonna be shipping and selling. I mean shipping books and doing event season. That was too chaotic for me. It was already
Mhm.
chaotic when I had the books up for Tropical Temptations, but they are gone now. But
Mhm.
anyway, buying direct from me when I do have my website open instead of Amazon because I only get pennies on a dollar.
Mhm.
But yeah, just buying direct, reading and liking and reviewing, and yeah, that's
Gotcha.
it. That's all. Simple, simple, simple.
Yes. And if readers want to connect with you on social media, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Arthur K Cache, um, TikTok at the Real Kiriah Kache. I have a Patreon. It's in my link in my Instagram, and
Mhm.
Facebook at Arthur Kiriah Kache.
Gotcha.
That's where
Okay.
you can find me. I'm pretty active on everything because I like to yap.
Good. We like to yap too. So
Yeah,
that's great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and taking
of
time to
course.
chat
Thanks for
about
having
your
me.
catalog. And definitely, if you want to connect with Kiriah Kache, definitely make sure to follow her, review
Yeah,
her work, and purchase directly to
thank
best support her.
you.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye.